it's Desiree and welcome back. If this is your first time here, bigger welcome. We are on our third video of our fourth series and we're going to build another scene on our card. Whether we're stamping and then using die cuts, we're going to add to the scene, whatever that is. Dig into your stash to create your scene and to use different techniques. Give them a try. You never know. For today's card, I'm going to be using this Pink Fresh stamp set. It's called Floral Bauble, and we're going to give it kind of a Christmas feel to it. And it's got this huge bow, the floral bauble itself, this greenery. We're going to add these greens coming off of it, and we're going to add some white pearls to that. That's by Paper Rose, and we're going to color it using the coordinating stencil that goes with this. I will be using the die as well to give it some dimension, especially to the bow, because of the greens that we're going to have coming out underneath it. So you'll see how all of this will come together. So grab your supplies. Just remember, this video might be a little bit long. It's very gabby, absolutely. I'm going to make sure that I show you all the steps as possible. And then after the voiceover, I will come back and we will talk about the card. If I had any challenges, if I had any issues, any of those things that I either had to overcome, or anything that I change, because even though I said what I'm doing, I could change it along the way. That's the beauty of this craft. So grab your supplies, let's craft together, and here we go. I'm going to start with my stenciling. For a stencil like this, I do like to use, or I think what's convenient is the waffle flower mini stencil. Now, of course, this is for your regular size stencils. It's not for your large ones. But I like the fact that I can take a piece of cardstock, put it right up into the corner. I can take the stencil, put that right up into the corner, and I know every time I lay down my stencil, it's going to be in the right spot. Now, this is for those stencils that are the image is just on one of that. Some of the stencils, you know, you've got multiple layers on one stencil sheet. I hope that made sense. I like to use tape to tape down my cardstock so it doesn't shift, and my hand is holding down the stencil. What's nice with this set is that they are numbered. So you start out with number 1, then you go to number 2, and so forth. I'm using 2 different shades here, so I've got to be careful that I'm not crossing over, so I'm being daring, that I'm not, you know, using Post-its to cover anything up. I wanted my flowers to have a peachy look, if that makes sense, and I wanted my bow to have a deep red. Now, Simon Says just came out with these new colors, the red and the green, the Cabaret, the Sangria, and the Punch. Oh, they are 3 beautiful reds. If you're like me and you want that perfect red, and I mean a perfect deep red, they've done it. Yes. Punch, Sangria, and Cabernet. Love the names, by the way. It's just absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Anyway, you start out with your lighter shades and they take you to the darkest shades. And in no time, your image is now colored. Stencils are a great way to get that layered, colored look. They are cost effective, which I think is wonderful. So you don't, if you're not a layering stamp person. Now I am going to put this in my stamp positioner. The stamp itself for the leaves, everything that you see that we stenciled is all in one stamp as well. So me being paranoid, because I can't get my head right over this, because my camera sits right there where my head will go, and I will hit it with my head. I figure, you know, my screen shakes enough for y'all. You don't need me hitting it with my head to make it worse. So I am going to pull it down to me to make sure that is set. And after all of this fiddling, it was. I just didn't want, because again, we did all of this beautiful work. Now, do you need the stamp? No, you do not. These images are absolutely gorgeous on their own. I'm going to real quick grab the sentiment, the Noel, put that down in the corner. I can take care of stamping that as well right now while I've got it. I'm going to use my Simon Says Intense Black, which it is no longer intense, which is what I love. I love the fact that this is fading back. I really want this to stay like that. I mean, you can hardly see it when I stamp with that on camera. Now, when I bring it up, you will see it, and I absolutely love it. If any of you know of an ink that is this color, please let me know. I do love a soft black. The Noel I stamped in the Cabernet, the darkest red that I used for my bow. What's wonderful too is the die that is with this set as well corresponds with the stamp and the stencil as well. So you're taking care of your die cutting all at once. So stenciling all done at once, die cutting done all at once, and boom, it's done. So yes, I had room. I brought over my die cutting machine. That doesn't happen too often. I figured you all know what it looks like when we die cut. So we're going to take our pieces out. I did die cut the bow a few more times because I wanted that to have some dimension. For this card, we're adding other elements. We don't just have to stick with, here's what is in the set. This is what we use to make our cards. We can add more elements to our cards. Especially for Christmas, I love adding greens, foliage to my cards. I just think it adds something to the image itself. I want the bow, though, to be raised up above. Now, the bow also holds the ornament hanger, which is absolutely fine for me. That doesn't bother me at all. You could certainly cut that out if you wanted to. That could be absolutely your choice. But I just kept that on there. I'm looking at the placement and where all of my greens are going to go. Greens are great because you can also change them. Those leafy greens, we can snip them. We can give them a haircut. We can make them shorter. We can make them longer. We can do a lot with them. So just because you die cut them doesn't mean that you can't alter them. Maybe you want the very bottom piece. Maybe you want the very top. You can make those cuts to see how that's going to look so that you can have from one die, and that's what this is. This is one die, and give it a different look every time you cut it. And that's what I'm doing here. Even if you cut it the same way, by shifting it, you can give the eye the illusion that this is a bushel of greens that are sitting around this ornament. This ornament reminds me of the mistletoe. mistletoe balls that we hang. So I wanted to give it even more of that illusion with these leaves, because these leaves remind me of mistletoe also. So again, we can make those changes and make those alterations. Instead of having the stamped and stenciled leaves coming down, I'm going to have them come up off the top, which will give even more dimension on that. And again, once you're set with where your bow goes, I just add a little bit of pressure. I'm going to get the sentiment down onto the card. And now we're just going to add a few more up underneath the front of the bow. So again, giving a different trim to the greens. And by using two different shades, now if you only have one shade of green, you could add a little bit of ink to it to give it a different shade. If you have two different colors, by using the two different colors when you die cut, you're also adding some depth to those leaves as well. Again, we're tricking the recipient's eye. We're not using a lot of supplies. We're just altering them to give the illusion that we have a beautiful bouquet that's sitting underneath this. I'm adding some white pearls throughout the greens. And since I couldn't see the red berries on the left of the stenciled greenery coming up the top, I just put a white pearl on top of the one that we did see. Again, we are paper crafters. We have ways to cover things up. Okay, now this one did go together kind of quickly. So this may be one for production style. You know, do all of your stenciling first, then do all of your stamping, then do all the die cutting. I think the colors are absolutely wonderful. I love the peach and the red. This is actually, these are new shades from my Positively inks, and oh yeah, love them. Like, I love them. Okay, so by just putting this down onto your card base and then having your greenery in the back and adding a few pieces of pearls or a few pearls, you know, you bring this to another level. Now, by all means, you could just leave out the die cuts and just put your bow with the dimension. I raised this up just a little bit up onto your piece. But again, it's a way to make this look different and add to it, whether that's dimension, texture, or a different color altogether. So again, you know, have fun when we create our cards, step it up. I even used an ink, the darkest red ink, for the sentiment, and that kind of pulls in the border that I used for the mat as well. So again, stretch those supplies, add other supplies that you have to other things. You don't have to stick with the same company. You don't have to stick with the same item. You don't have to do that. You can mix and match. You can have 10 dies in front of you and take one thing from each of those to build up a scene or a landscape or an image that sits on your card. Sometimes that helps us to just go through our stash every once in a while to help refresh what's in there. I don't keep a log of what I have. I should, absolutely should. But by me just paging through it, you know, to find that next project, that's how I'm like, okay, yeah, I remember I had that. Oh yeah, let's pull that out. When it comes to those, you know, those few bins that I have. And again, if you're like that, and if that's the type of stash that you have, that's something that you could do as well. You know, we can take a stamp set and make it as many different ways as we want to. So again, that's what this is all about. Dig into that stash we've got, have fun with the products we already have, and let's see how many different ways we can create something with it using different techniques or just shifting it just a little bit. Okay? If you have any questions, leave those down below and I will make sure I get back to you as soon as I can. I am so enjoying the comments and answering your questions as we go if you have anything down there. But I will get back to you as soon as I can. Don't forget to subscribe. I'd love for you to hit that button, hit the thumbs up, and by all means, ring the bell so that you're notified when the next video is ready for you to watch. Remember, you are creating art. We are taking something and turning it into something else, whether it's a piece of paper and we simply tear it in half. It is art. I know that sounds strange, but it is. It is a form of art, and we do that every time we go into our crafty space. I want you to enjoy the process. There should be no stress and no frustration. Remember, paper has two sides, and we keep going with it, even if we believe there is a mistake. You never know what that's going to look like and how it's going to come out. And plus, we have many ways to hide those little boo-boos and those happy accidents that we ourselves create. But remember, everyone, what's most important to me, always be creative in everything that you do. And I will see you in video number 4 in our 4th series. Wonder what's next. See you then.